Hey, it's that time where we do this Ask a Traffic Cop thing. I love it. I'm ready for it. I hope you're having a great day. It's FriYay, and we're doing Ask a Traffic Cop because that's what we do every day. I guess I should press the button and let the folks on Instagram in. We are going to talk to you about traffic stuff and things because that's what we do. Greetings and salutations from Michaela Draconis. Jumping in. Look at this. He's all ready. He's on it. If you're watching, pretty much all platforms allow you to ask questions because that's what we do. We answer your questions about traffic, safety, traffic law, police stuff in general. That's how it rolls. That's how we roll. Instagram's not working. We're not rolling anywhere on Instagram. Hang on a second. What do we do? What do we do in the meantime? Okay, that's enough. I get it. It's not letting me. Okay, it's checking connection. There we go. Okay, maybe it's going to work now. All right. What are we going to do? We're going to see if it works. I got to stare at it because otherwise it's not going to listen to me. Anyway, Melanie, good morning to you. And we got people jumping in live. So we are currently broadcasting, as you can possibly guess, based on the logos on the screen. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. We're even on, did I say Twitter already? We're even on Twitter. Twitter doesn't actually, no, it's not working. I can't get onto Instagram Live. I wonder why. Let's see. Maybe this is the issue. Maybe it wants me to log into the network again. Come on. Nothing like technical difficulties to start the day off. We had technical difficulties yesterday. If you were watching when Brian from Brian and Bobby was in the, were we even on the network? Hang on. I like it when we get curveballs because then we get to zigzag and all that jazz. Oh, I installed new software, or maybe it's trying to. No, I don't want that. It says it's connected. Let's reconnect. We're gonna disconnect, and we're gonna reconnect. Yeah, makes a lot of fun. Hey, JC. JC says, hola. How you doing, brother? It's been a while. It's been a long while. I haven't spoken to JC. JC and I used to work together. Actually, we go way further back than that because I was a court officer when I met JC, who is now enjoying retired life, or is it semi-retired life? You know, when your time is your own. Okay, looks like we now have an internet connection and that Instagram will actually function. Yes. Well, maybe. I actually don't know. All right. Let's see what's going on. So I lost my train of thought. Let's start again. Hey, look at that. We're actually connected to the internet, and we are now live on Instagram. Hallelujah. We are going to see what's going on here. We have Wallace, who says, coming in from Cape Breton. Good morning to you, sir. We have magical folks watching from all over the world. I've heard from people in Ireland. Of course, now we're going to have followers from New Zealand since we had Brian and Bobby, or Brian from Brian and Bobby, and he's a New Zealand police officer who's traveling Canada right now, learning tips and tricks and things that he can bring back and share with his peeps. But what an awesome guy. Actually, I'm going to be seeing him not right after the show, but later on this afternoon. We have Doug Allen. Oh, here we go. Doug just watched yesterday's live replay, and now it's FriYay. You worked out your timing perfectly because, then you get 2 hours. Hold on a sec. I didn't get my logo up. It's not really a logo. Can I do this without looking? Can I do it without looking? No, I can't do it without looking. I was able to slide slightly. Instagram has no idea what I'm talking about because you can't see the screens, but I had to move the graphic over, and I couldn't. There's no way. My vision is not good enough to look through a screen and find the little dot for full screen. But anyway, we have Oh, we've got a new way of doing things, which is awesome. CJ is we got JC and CJ, and it's not going to be confusing at all, but CJ's throwing questions from TikTok over into this window, like this question. I work in door-to-door and have people call you guys on my car all the time. I work in door-to-door and have people call you guys on my car all the time. Any advice to stop it? I don't know what you mean by door-to-door. Do you mean door-to-door sales? And are they calling? What are they calling and saying? Is it a parking complaint that they're giving you? Is it a what's going on? Because that's a big difference. Like if they're calling to say there's some creepy person in my neighborhood who's going and checking out houses, that's an issue. If the issue is that they're complaining that you're parking, it's a different situation. So give me more. I'd love to try and figure out what you're exactly dealing with. Not related to traffic, but you listen to the podcast, or have you listened to the podcast Game of Crimes? They had a few past President Ontario officers as a guest. I have not, but now I will have to because I'm curious. Good morning to Leah wife, who is my wife and watching. It's like I was just talking to you before the show. It's amazing. But I have, I thank you for coming in and supporting this magical FriYay. I'm looking forward to sharing dad jokes, although Sergeant Campbell isn't here. If you have any dad jokes, by the way, if you want to share some dad jokes, let us know, because we are fans of dad jokes. Let me move this camera over this way, because I'm only running one camera today. I'm moving the folks. Tighten. There you go. Moving the folks on Instagram, so I'm looking at both of you because I've got different setups here. There's a lot going on. I'll put up an Instagram picture later to talk about what we're doing here. Louise McDonald says, "What triggers someone getting stopped at a trap? I've been over the limit but not stopped." Okay, so you're specifically asking about the automated speed enforcement cameras. How much over the limit must you be going? You know what? It's a very good question because we don't know the exact number. We have a podcast that we recorded with the folks from the program, from the automated speed enforcement program, and they don't give us the exact number because plausible deniability is a thing. I actually don't know, so I can't tell you. The best advice I can give you is don't speed. Just don't speed. If you go over by 1 or 2 and they don't get you, great. But you could go into a jurisdiction where you would get ticketed because we don't know what other jurisdictions set to. Well, I don't know what this jurisdiction sets to, so just don't do it. All right. What we got here? Fester asks, can police ask for ID before explaining why they pulled you over? Yes. I don't think there's an order of operations anywhere in any law that says one must tell you why prior to. We have to have the authority to do it. But and explaining it is always the better option, but I don't believe it says you must say why first. Now, generally speaking, that could lead to problems because if we don't actually have the authority to do it and a complaint were to be lodged and we weren't lawfully, in the right to ask, it's a different situation. But it all depends. Now, we are allowed to ask, and if someone were to say no, that's a different situation. So if I meet you on your street and say, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Sean. Do you have any ID?" and you say, "Sure, here's your ID," that's lawful. I can ask you. I can't force you. I can't demand that you. It's different, right? Lawful authority and a requirement under law to force you or compel you to give ID. Because let's say you're driving a motor vehicle. You're legally required to provide identification upon demand. If you're riding a bicycle, you're legally required to identify yourself, but that doesn't include being required to give identification. You must be able to satisfy me as to your name and information. So if you were to say, "Here's my name, my date of birth, my address," and that all checks out, that could be sufficient if I'm able to confirm your identity. And in those situations, if you refuse to, you could be arrested. But if you are just walking down the street and I just saw you because I saw you and I said, "Hey, how you doing?" Ask for ID. You could give it to me or you could not, and that's going to be up to you, unless there was an investigation for a criminal event. Like there's other things, but we're going way down the rabbit hole. Let's move on, shall we? We have Josh. Oh, so a little story about this. Josh says, "I thought you were at the car show today, and that was the plan because I got confused as to which day was media day. I put in my calendar that it was today, when in fact it was yesterday. So I booked all sorts of things all day. I had a very busy schedule. And then I ran to the auto show for the last hour of the media day. And I met up with Brian Max, and I spoke to some folks. I saw Carrie Schmidt. I saw, and we had a little chit chat about stuff and things. And I didn't do nearly what I thought I was going to do, which is spend a day creating content. Instead, I actually just had a couple of brief meetings with some people I had to have meetings with. But yeah, I'm not there today. And today I'm teaching at the police college for an hour, lecturing there. And I don't think I'm gonna have time, but I'm gonna try and make it to the show at some point from now till then. So I'll keep it in the news. I'll share when I'm gonna be there in case anyone wants to come by and say hello. All right. Oh, this is a great one. Here's a great one from Wallace. I notice when I'm driving, I can sometimes smell marijuana from a vehicle in front of me. If that happened to you, would it be enough to do a traffic stop? Yeah. You're not allowed to have open marijuana in a car. That is like open in the compartment. You certainly can't be smoking it for any person, whether you're the driver or passenger. Can't be consumed in a car. Same for alcohol. All the rules for alcohol are the same as the rules for marijuana, pretty much. Sealed in a factory sealed container from a legal dispensary anywhere in the car. Once it's open, it has to be away from the driver, so the trunk is acceptable, but not the passenger compartment in easy reach of the driver. And obviously not being consumed or smoked. That's not permitted. So what do? What is the story? I pull them over and I investigate them. And then if it was simply a situation where someone was consuming and it wasn't the driver and I was not concerned of their impairment, it might just be some tickets. If it was an impairment issue with the driver, I'd arrest them because that's what I do. That's what we do. And if you smell marijuana coming from a car, that is a possible impaired driver. That is a reasonable thing to call police. Obviously, you have to be able to identify the vehicle in question. It can't be, I smell a smell and it's coming from somewhere. And you have to clearly know who it is. But if you saw a vehicle that's swerving all over the road, that's a possible impaired driver. That's a call to police. You know, we're about protecting life. That's what we're all about. Could be the life of the driver, the life of everybody else on the road. Mm-hmm. Okay, we talked about that. Now we got a question from, things are popping, got things jumping around. Sliding back. Every time a new message comes in, it moves, and I can't hit the button fast enough. If you're on a highway, is this the one? If you're on a highway speeding going west and a cop is on the east side, can you get ticketed and how? So highway is any road. I think you mean expressway. So if they're able to measure your speed, so depending on how they're measuring speed, and I don't know in this scenario what that would be. Could you? Yeah, listen, we could have an officer standing on a bridge with a laser, measuring speed of people going by, watching and observing what a motor vehicle is doing, and they could radio their partner on the ground who could then pull you over. We used to do it, OPP used to do it from airplanes, so one person measuring speed, the other person taking the information based on that report, and then pulling the vehicle over. So absolutely they can do that. Do we tend to do that? Unlikely. We'll sit in the median and do speed enforcement, and then we'll just drive off the median and come get you. At the end of the day, don't speed. If you're not speeding, you don't have to worry about anything. Let's see here. We have a question about a ARZ license. Can I drive a dump truck with a tri-pup trailer? I have no idea. I don't know anything about tri-pup trailers, so I can't answer you. But I'm going to message a friend, because they probably have the answer, and maybe we can circle back to this in a little bit. Okay. Not a dad joke, but a quote. Happiness is having a large, loving, caring, close-knit family in another city. George Burns. George Burns is amazing. Although, I just can't figure out the cigars. I mean, I appreciate that cigars are a thing, but I don't get it. But mind you, he lived a long, long life. What is this? I don't know what the question means. Don't know what the question means. There's something about the SAAQ, which I don't actually know what that acronym is for, is closed. How can I drive my non-registered car? So not knowing what you're talking about exactly, I'm assuming in another place that's an acronym for something outside of Ontario, maybe, possibly. You cannot drive an unregistered car. If you had plates, now in Ontario, and I'll only tell you about Ontario law because I don't know where that is, but in Ontario, if you were to go and, what is the word? Buy a car, that's a number of words. If you're going to go buy a car and it was the weekend and it was a private sale, how do you get it home? Well, I suggest you actually go to a Ministry of Transportation or Service Ontario location that's open on the weekend, because there are some that exist. And I would do that transaction right there. Get all the used car package, all the transfer information done, because as a seller, you'd want to have your name off of the vehicle, and if you're a buyer, you'd want to have it in your name as quickly as possible. You actually have 6 days to do it, but making sure it's done is important for the seller, because otherwise bad things happen or can happen. In terms of, can you buy and transfer home? So yes, if you bought it, within the 6 days, if you were to buy a car and for whatever reason you couldn't get to the ministry, if you had plates that were not expired, they were valid, circulatable plates that were valid for use, but not attached to a car. So they had a valid renewal, but not attached to a car, and you had proof of insurance for the new vehicle. Well, then you could put those plates on to get you home and then transfer it after. But I don't like that. Even though there's that opportunity in a very short order to do it, I don't think it's a good idea. What is this? Sea Monster 22 says, how much do you make a year to make live videos on TikTok? Well, my salary is actually posted on the internet. And I don't just make live videos on the internet. This is one of the many things that I do. Once we finish here, I'll be meeting with Breakfast Television folks to talk about traffic safety issues in the city of Toronto, because I'm a media relations officer. I also do social media. This is just one of the many tasks. I do a ton of things. But how much do I make? I don't know what I made last year. I don't know exactly what I make this year, but I make over $100,000. And the position of police officer, I think once we're at first class, is about $109,000. I am a first class police constable, so I'd be making in that range, if not more. And but I'm not just a TikTok video maker. I'm a master of many things. I love when people get upset about you're getting paid to give people education on the internet. That's so bad. And let me just take the opportunity to tell you who I am. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. I go live on social media from Monday to Friday from 10 to 11 to answer your traffic and police questions. I do this because I want to help you, because the service believes in giving you information and explaining things that might be, well, confusing to some. And it's not just you. It's confusing to a lot of people. And it was confusing to me when I was younger and before I became a traffic safety specialist and a traffic guy. I came onto the job having lots of misconceptions over what was legal and what wasn't, because my parents told me stuff and they weren't right. So one of the things we talked about it yesterday, I thought that it was illegal to drive with the interior light on. It's not. Some jurisdictions it is. It's not illegal here. I thought it was illegal to drive barefoot. I don't know how I got that in my head, but it's not illegal. It's not a good idea. There's tons of laws like that. And other people want to understand what the consequences of breaking the laws are. Because you may choose to break the law. That's not something we endorse. Obviously, we're telling you don't break the law or we're going to hold you accountable. But if you choose to break the law, at least you're going to find out what is going to happen to you and what the consequences are. It's a lot of consequences. All right, moving on. Oh, if you want to ask questions, you can throw them in the chat on TikTok. We have CJ, who is the executive producer, taking the questions and putting them into the on-screen format. YouTube will automatically populate along with Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook. If you're on Instagram, I should probably say Instagram properly, but I don't know why I want to call it Instagram. There is a chat or a question and answer function. You can use that. Twitter, you've got to go to trafficcop.ca and go watch us on one of our other platforms. Trafficcop.ca has links on my link tree to everything else. And finally, that peace sign. I guess I should put my thought. Which one are we doing? I don't know which hand that is. It's inverse. The deal is that that's the logo for VolleyApp, and VolleyApp allows you to send us video, voice, and text messages through our little community group that is there. And I just noticed that Jace sent a message and says, is it a voice message? No, but he says, "Good morning from Calgary. How are you doing today, Mr. Shapiro?" I'm doing well. I thank you for asking. What is this? Do I have a question I can play? Here's a voice message from our friend Chase. And here it is. Oh, this is actually, we did this one yesterday. I don't need to play it again. He was asking about keys and if we could take the keys out of a motorcycle to prevent them from running. And the answer was that it all depends about what we can articulate and if we have reason to believe that they might run. I've done it before, absolutely. I had a guy almost run me over with his motorcycle, claiming that he didn't realize I was a police officer stopping him while I was wearing a uniform that said police on it directly in front of him. But anyway, that's another story. He lost his bike for a while. Okay. What do we have here? Oh, allegations of quotas. Actually, it's not allegations. It's a question. I just assumes. The way it was worded, I thought it was an allegation. But no, it's actually a question. Cops have quota numbers for all driving tickets given out per month or per week. The answer is no, we don't. Now, I shouldn't say no, we don't. or I should clarify, we don't. In Toronto, we don't. I don't know about other services. I don't think they do. I've never heard of anyone having a quota. Toronto Police does not have a quota. We go out and give tickets because we're trying to change behavior. We're trying to change the way people drive because we're trying to keep people safe. Now, we have a Vision Zero enforcement team, which I neglected to mention the location of this morning. So we'll go back and circle back and talk about that in a second. But Vision Zero enforcement team is a group of officers that go out and specifically focus on the big four. Those are the driving offenses that we know lead to serious injury and death. They are speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. Those are the ones that they deal with exclusively. I shouldn't say exclusively. Why? Because they'll write you for other things as well. But they focus on the ones that are most dangerous. They write a lot of tickets. Where are they today? Today is the 17th. They are in 23 Division and 33 Division. And that means very little to many people. Those are the divisional boundaries, or each division has boundaries, and within those boundaries, we have lots of different neighborhoods. Those neighborhoods, really some of them, a sample, a few. I'm reading from Twitter, and there's not enough characters to be able to list everybody because we'd be here for a week. But Rexdale, Jamestown, Martin Grove, we have Parkwoods, Donalda, Bayview Village, York Mills. Those are neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play, and they deserve to be safe. Now, they have magical officers who go there every day, and they do what they can do to keep the road safe and remind drivers that they're responsible for, being legal, not speeding, not running red lights, not being dangerous. But people inevitably don't follow the rules, so they're there to try and help remind them. And they don't give out hugs. It's tickets every day, all day. No radio calls. It's just, it's specifically enforcement. And what do we have here? Jacob says, first class, what is this? Oh, right on. Jacob, who is do I get to call Jacob a longtime listener now, or just friend to the show? We met in a parking lot at Tim Hortons, and that was when we met in person when we were doing a live event, and we've seen him, I think, every day since. So thanks for the support, Jacob. Appreciate it. He's retweeting us, he's liking our content, and I really do appreciate it. It doesn't matter, day or night. I put a post up, first person to like it. It's amazing. Okay. Here's a good question. Your asks, can I drive my sister's car even if I'm not on the car's insurance, but she's in the passenger seat? Well, absolutely. In that particular situation, you could, assuming you have a full license. You have a G2 or better. Actually, if she's a G licensed driver with 4 years experience, then you could even drive her car while she's in it as a G1 driver. Now, if you live together, insurance companies will want you to be on the policy as an occasional driver if you are borrowing the car, if you are a G2 driver and better. Now, if you are not living together and that happens, then oddly enough, you can borrow unless you're excluded by name or by age or for any particular reason that the insurance company says. Like they may say, we only insure you on this vehicle, nobody else. It's a private organization who has different deals with different people. You have to check your policy. From a policing perspective, if you're a licensed driver and the vehicle is insured, you're good to go, period. Okay. Boom. Oh, and Jacob is just shouting out that his dad's a copper, or dad's worked for this. He's outing his dad as being a member. He's one of us, and you could be one of us too, because we're hiring. Yes, indeed. Toronto Police is currently taking applications for a number of positions. If you'd like to know more, check out www.tps.ca/careers. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Toronto Police application process is going to be posted right there. And do I have that? I have somewhere amongst the gazillion things on my screen a button I can press to. Hold on, I'm doing it. I'm determined. There's some backlog from the way we were doing questions. So I've got 6,000. Here we go. Hey, look at this fanciness. So if you're interested in becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service, either as a police officer, parking enforcement officer, special constable, which is our what do we call them? They are divisional special constables. We also have civilian jobs, tech jobs, IT jobs. We have clerical positions, lots and lots of opportunities. A fantastic place to work. I've been here for 23 years in various capacities. Started as a volunteer at the auxiliary program, which is an amazing volunteer program. If you want to give back to your community, but don't want to give up your day job as a Fortune 500 executive, you just want to come up and play cop on the weekends. We actually love the help. It's a great opportunity to give back to your community. You're not going to be a police officer by doing it. You are going to be a uniformed civilian volunteer. but it's a great opportunity. And I did it for 12 years. 12 years as an auxiliary officer. I was simultaneously a court officer for almost all of those years, and then patched over. I converted 2 uniforms into one and became a police officer. Okay, what do we got here? Subjects in world. What is this? Oh, Tinto Tozy is talking about subjects on world over this morning. I've never seen the show. Talking about death penalties and drugs. Interesting. I can't comment on it because I haven't seen it, don't know about it. NASCAR Tim says Vision Zero. Yes. I don't know what you mean by your comment, but I support Vision Zero. Vision Zero is a concept. It's not a, is it a thing? Is it actually a thing? Toronto is big into it. We're invested into it because not only are we changing infrastructure, changing speed limits, changing the way we do business, but the Toronto Police has got the Vision Zero enforcement team, and it's from all aspects. We do education, we do enforcement, and then there's infrastructure and the government side of it. And the goal is to keep vulnerable road users safe. Well, to keep all road users safe. We want to have 0 deaths on our roads. That's the goal. And if you don't aim for 0, you're not aiming in the right place, because how many people should die on the roads? 1 is too many. You know, it was an amazing video, and I've seen a number of people take different spins on it. But the deal is that they said, okay, how many people do you think currently die on the roads? And people, 50, 100, 500. That was their guesstimates. And then they'd say, well, how many do you think is acceptable? And they'd say, oh, acceptable. And they'd reduce the number, 50, 20, 10. And then they'd give them the zinger. How many would be acceptable if it was your family? And then the entire, like everyone says, well, none. Well, why should it be acceptable for other people to die? It's not acceptable at all. None. It's the only answer. So for everyone who's been watching our show probably for 2 years, I don't know if I've ever talked about that video or played that video. I'm going to have to play it. So next week, I'm going to queue up the video. I'm going to play it on the show. I think we're going to have a commercial break and watch that video. It's amazing stuff. We're gonna watch that. I think it's very impactful, and it's far better to watch the actual video than me, play the role of everybody in the video. Okay. We have, do you hire folks with color blindness? That's a fantastic question. Depends on the position. So we hire people who have, I believe it's called vision acuity. Is it called normal vision acuity? I can't remember what it's called now. Once upon a time, I knew the technical name for color blindness. However, I don't anymore. But yeah, you can be a special constable, if I'm not mistaken, because when I was a special constable as a court officer, and many of the people I worked with were people who could not become police officers because of the color vision requirements, and they became court officers. So I know that we do hire people, but just not as police officers, because color acuity, I think is what it is a requirement for police constable. But you can be a civilian clerk, you can be a civilian member without that. But definitely double check on the website, because they will clearly state what every requirement is. But I thank you for asking the question. And apparently when we were talking earlier about SAAQ, which I had no idea what it was, they said it's the equivalent of Service Ontario in Quebec. So cool. Oh, and that was Chase who gave the solution to that question. Thank you. We have, does a warning show up on your driver's abstract? Good question. Need water. It just reminds me of the I must hydrate before I educate. There's a guy on TikTok who's awesome. If you've never seen this stuff, go find him, because I don't remember what he's called, but I love his content. Incredibly knowledgeable individual. But anyway. So, does a warning show up on your abstract report? No, because a warning doesn't actually go to the ministry. A warning is an internal police document that is in our records, but doesn't get forwarded to anyone else because you haven't been charged. Charges don't even go, like allegations, when we charge you with something, doesn't go to the ministry unless there's a roadside suspension, because the suspension is registered with them, or a conviction after you've gone to court or paid for your ticket. That would be reported to your abstract, but nothing else. Okay. We have, Liz wants to know where Vision Zero is, and I've already forgotten where it is. So let me pull it back up so I can tell you. I'll tell you. We talked about it, but I'll tell you again. The answer to your query is, I already closed the window, so I'm waiting for it to fold. They are currently in 23 Division and 33 Division, and they are those are the neighborhoods of Rexdale, Jamestown, Martin Grove, Parkwoods, Donalda, Bayview Village, York Mills, and that's just naming a few of them. There's many more neighborhoods within the division, but they are out there making a difference, and they are making a difference because when you put 18 extra officers into a community, above the police officers that are already responding to calls and doing traffic enforcement, you can cover so many more vehicles. And there are areas in the city that just need the attention. So we have analysts, and they look at the information that they analyze. I don't know what they do. They're analysts. They analyze the info, and then they determine where we go or where the unit goes. Okay. Interesting question. Can I argue in court that my traffic ticket isn't readable? Officer had low ink, and I can't read it. Well, it's an interesting premise or argument because, all of our tickets are computer generated. There's no ink, it's heat transfer paper, so that's not going to be a legitimate argument. If it was a paper ticket, you're actually not getting the inked copy, that original that goes to the court. You're getting a transfer paper copy. So ink isn't used either. It's possible that your copy isn't a good copy, but the courts have an original copy. They have the actual ink on paper, which would be legible. Mind you, if you went to court and they couldn't read it, they would probably dismiss the charges, but that's going to be them. So you can argue whatever you want, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win. Yeah. It isn't. I do find these questions so interesting. What is this? What is K? Can police run? This is another question. Can police run plates without reason, i.e., non-valid suspicion? Yes. In fact, with ALPR technology, every plate that runs past a camera is going to be run. They're going to be looking for, expired plates, licenses, suspensions, criminal warrants. That's going to happen automatically every time you drive past a police car or a police car drives past you. And it's already started with the OPP, who rolled it out, I think, yesterday. They started doing it, so that's already happening. Can we do it manually? Absolutely, and we do. And we can pull over vehicles for what someone might refer to as without any suspicion, because we can legally, lawfully pull you over to check to see if you have a valid driver's license, valid insurance, and to check your sobriety to make sure you're not impaired by drugs or alcohol. Additionally, we can check to see if your vehicle is fit. We can do an inspection if we have reason to believe that there's something wrong with it. And oddly enough, we do a lot of that. What is going on here? How many miles over the limit? It scrolled away as I started to read it. I gotta click it first. Click it or get a ticket. Who uses that? All right. How many miles over the speed limit before court appearances would be mandatory? Oh, actually, that's an interesting. So first of all, Mark, I'm assuming you're in the United States because you are using miles. We use kilometers. We're in Canada. But the answer to your question will depend on where you are. I don't know for where you are. But in Ontario, if you're charged with stunt driving, it's going to be a direct-to-court situation. So 50 kilometers over the speed limit in an area where the speed limit is 80 or above. And if you're in an area that has a speed limit under 80, so if it's a 60 zone, a 70 zone, a 50 zone, a 40 zone, a 30 zone, I'm getting at, then you only have to be going 40 over to trigger a stunt driving charge. And not only would you be going to court mandatorily, I don't know if I made up that word. Is that a real word, mandatorily? Oh, it's mandatory that you go to court. I'll use a word I know is real. The deal is that you'll be given a summons to court, and your vehicle will be impounded for 14 days, and you're going to get a 30-day suspension on your driver's license. And it's those no set fine tickets that will determine that you are going to court. Also, like if you don't have your insurance card with you, but we believe you have insurance, then you're going to get a $65 ticket you can pay. If we believe or can confirm that you don't have insurance, then it's going to be a summons to court where you have to attend and before a justice of the peace. I guess it's judge or justice of the peace. Okay. My grandfather was a staff superintendent with TPS years ago, retired in 1972. He used to demote and reprimand. He told me once he caught a female officer doing laundry on her shift. No kidding. I can't imagine. Listen, I wasn't alive in 1972, but he retired in 72. Wow, that's amazing. Times have certainly changed. Mind you, I don't think we're allowed to do laundry on shift now either. Francesca Martinetto says, with new license check system, can people see if you don't have insurance? That would be great. I don't know the inner workings of the system and where there's still information that is yet to be released, because to me even. I don't know the depths of what is capable, but my understanding is that since we can see whether it's confirmed with the ministry, that doesn't mean that you do or don't. It means that they can't confirm it's unconfirmed or confirmed status. Then it is. Then it would be something that would be alerted. Is my understanding. Game of Crimes episode 41. Steve Smith of TPS talking about Christine Jessup case. Very cool. Doug Allen was mentioning earlier about the podcast Game of Crimes, which I will now subscribe to thanks to the recommendation from Doug. Okay. What do we got here? Scrolling back for new questions. Oh. Big Jeff Fresh, what's going on, my friend? Seen some TikToks of the OPP and the auto plate readers. Amazing how many they ding. They'll have pull over one person and come back to like 20 more things being dinged. Yes, I watched a video that Carrie Schmidt put up on their channel. If you don't already follow them, OPP Highway Safety Division is their account. Check them out. And I think that was actually a new. Well, maybe it was their poster. Anyway, it was a good post. And it just, you could hear that the confirmations, the plates being read and being confirmed as being expired or what have you. And the constable behind the wheel was explaining how it worked, and it's very cool. It's very cool. We don't have those little clues stuck to license plates anymore since the province changed the way that that renewals take place. That it's now something that happens, online for free and no stickers mailed out. Well, we lost that visual cue, which meant manually entering in license plates constantly to run. So this new technology will be very good. Not only will it make it safer for officers and everyone on the road because we're able to focus on what we're doing, it'll just mean more people will get caught. And there's no excuse. Pay your insurance or don't drive. Renew your license, which is free to do, or don't drive. Easy peasy. Okay. Does the speed limit need to be on the speeding ticket to prove how fast I was going over the limit? Don't know where you are. But generally speaking, when I write a ticket, it's pre-formatted to say was doing 50 in a 30 or was doing 75. Like we enter in what the speed was and what if they didn't do that, would it mean an automatic rejection? I don't think so, because chances are the evidence that is also submitted will include that. So there's the face of the ticket and there's the evidence. And now the courts could dismiss it. That's up to the courts, but I don't think it invalidates the ticket. Let's see here. But I'm curious to know where you are because if this has ever happened, did they just not write? They just said, actually, you know what? Let me walk that back. Technically, the offense is speeding. I think the ticket could simply say speeding on the front, and all the speed could be on the evidence, period. And all they have to establish is that you were, in fact, going over the speed limit. It's not that they have to prove that you were going a particular speed. They just need to prove that you were speeding, because the charge of speeding, the number of kilometers over the speed limit, is specific to the fine amount. It's for calculating fine, not for confirming your guilt or innocence. Let's see here. We got a couple of questions that came in from Volley. Volley is our group, our community, and you can join that community by going to trafficcop.ca, and there's a link that says "Ask Me a Question" on Volley, and you can do just that. You can send me video, voice, or text, and it's pretty awesome. I like it. I like it a lot. So we had a good morning from Calgary. We talked about that. All right. Let's see here. I've seen the ALPR systems on Regina Police Twitter, and it's crazy how fast it's reading every single plate. It can read multiple. I think it's multiple plates. It is amazing. What is the reasoning? This is from Sean Barabe. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. What is the reasoning behind raising the speed limits on some Ontario highways, and what's your opinion of that? Well, I don't know why there's a need to do it. I think we're going fast enough, and I think people don't respect the speed limits that are currently posted, so why raise them? But my understanding is that they did a pilot project, or they're in the midst of a pilot project. I don't know if it ended or it's permanent. In any case, they determined that in certain stretches of the road, it is safe, that it was designed to accommodate those speeds, and it's safe. We're in the process of lowering speed limits in the city. We have speed, like where it was 60, it's 50. Where it was 50, it's 40. Where it was 40, it was 30. We're lowering speeds because we know that makes it safer for vulnerable road users like cyclists and pedestrians. And for all the people who think we're anti-pedestrian, we're doing a lot of things to make it safer for people. And it's working against the cars that are going too fast. But I put out a video a couple days ago about the pedestrian problem, and people lost their minds because I said pedestrian problem. They didn't listen long enough to hear that the problem is that pedestrians are getting struck. We have too many pedestrians being struck. And we need to change some behavior. So we need to continue to change hearts and minds and get people on board to following the rules, because it's great if people just didn't speed and we didn't have to ticket them. They just did the right thing because it was the right thing. So we talk about that, and then we draw attention to things. It was very effective. A lot of people got their eyes on this video because it offended people, not because we said anything wrong, but because the perception was that we were saying something wrong. But I think go watch the video. It's on TikTok. It's on all the platforms. It's on YouTube. Not all. It's on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Check it out. Check it out. Would love to hear what you have to say. What is this? You played that Vision Zero thing asking what number of... Oh, no, I will play that. So Michael wants to know why I'm not playing that video. I'm saying that I don't have it queued up already, but I will play that next week. I'm going to play that video of the Vision Zero thing. Okay. Lots of new comments coming in. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. Except it just updated and I lost where I was. Scrolling back. Apparently I just need to be faster. All right. What is this? What happens if you're close to your limit of kilometers on insurance policy? Do I have to call them? Interesting question. It's not a police question. It is your insurance company question. So I don't know if you claim that you only do 50 kilometers a day and you're driving 100 kilometers a day. Well, if you are found to be way over your kilometers and they've charged you based on lower driving amounts, they could deny you on a claim if you or investigate you and raise your interest rate, not interest rates, but insurance rates. So I think it's always good to be really honest with your insurance company, because lying to them would result in bad things happening to you in terms of them possibly canceling your policy or denying a claim. So yeah, now if you're talking about limit of kilometers on your lease, it's a different story. That's totally different. But you did say insurance policy. Okay. Do you need a CVOR for a truck under 4,500 kilos? I think that 4,500 kilos is when you need a CVOR, but it also depends on what your vehicle is. And you know what? I'm going to say I can't remember, because I can't. Let's see. I'm gonna look it up, because I keep saying I don't know, and because I can never remember CVR stuff. And I'd always phone a friend whenever I had a CVR question, because we have a dedicated team of CVR people. What is this? Operate, fail to surrender, fail to notify. I don't know. Making a new note. I had something. There's something I was supposed to look at yesterday too. Okay. Do you need? Tune in Monday, because we're going to have an answer for you. Hopefully. Under 4,500 kgs. Okay. Coming back to this one. Can I put that on favorites and we'll remember for next time? I don't know. Oh, interesting. Ben wants to know. I don't know if it's a question or a comment or an exclamation, because we got both pieces of things on this. Are automatic plate scanners an abuse of power? I'm gonna say it's a question. I don't think they are. Why is it an abuse of power? It's only catching people who are breaking the rules. And I think that everyone would want to know who's breaking the rules. If someone's driving on the road and they have no insurance and they hit you, wouldn't you want them to have been caught prior to them hitting you, and then prosecuted and taken off the road? So if they hit you, at least they pay for it, or you're covered. If they don't have a license and they shouldn't be behind the wheel, if they're wanted for some horrible crime, if it's an Amber Alert and they have a child who's been kidnapped, abducted, and is putting them in harm's way, wouldn't we want to know? Is this an abuse of power, or is this using technology to save lives and keep people from breaking the law? And I absolutely don't think this is an abuse of power. In fact, I will stand up and say it is not an abuse of power. It is exactly what should be happening, in my opinion. But it is my opinion, and you're entitled to disagree with me. How do I get my question answered? Spiritually Tarot wants to know. You ask it. Is that your question, or do you have another question? Let me know. Seriously, ask the question. If you are on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram. Ask questions. Oh, hey, speaking of Instagram, I have a question here from Roulette. What is this? When waiting to turn right at a red light and there's a gas station or plaza that you can turn into, can we cut through? I don't know what is so important that someone would do that. Like, how much time are you saving? One of the number one reasons we have collisions is because people are in a rush. They didn't leave themselves enough time. They slept in. They don't care about other people. They're important, but nobody else is. I'm not calling you out. It's a good question. But I have to call out the whole concept because a few seconds, trying to save a couple of seconds, even a minute, could kill somebody. Now, in Toronto, you have to stop before crossing a sidewalk. So you're going to have to stop anyway. You're going to have to make sure you're safe to go. Could you go through on private property? You could be trespassing if you do that. Very often there are signs erected that say, private property only for customers. Well, as soon as you're cutting through, you're technically trespassing if they've got signs up. And if they wanted to trespass you from the property, could you be charged? Like, there's a whole bunch of what ifs and maybes. I don't suggest it. I suggest you wait and do it safely. And the people you could hit would thank you for it if they knew you were coming. Mind you, if you didn't go. Anyway, we talk about it all the time. It's not illegal, but don't do it. Jake has to go to class. He's abandoning us. Okay. Interesting. So you got some great questions, Kay. Do officers choose the amount of a ticket within reason, or is it based on a fees list chart? So there are charges that have a price tag on them. So there is, in the wordings and set fines, it's set fines. If you run a stop sign, there's a set fine. If you have non-functioning headlights, it's a set fine. The majority of them are about $110 once you include the victim fine surcharge. There are some that say no set fine. And if it's no set fine, it can be, it's go to court and immediately they will, well, not immediately, upon conviction, they will determine and determine and decide what they're charging you with. I'll give you an example. No set fine for no insurance. It's a $5,000 to $25,000 fine, and it has a potential of also including a 6-month jail term. Stunt driving is a $2,000 to $10,000 fine and has a 1 to 3 year suspension for the first conviction, a 3 to 10 year suspension on your second conviction, and a lifetime ban on subsequent convictions. And that's up to the bench to determine. In terms of jail, they also have the opportunity of up to 6 months in jail. So it's not us who decides the price, it is the courts. And in addition to the no set fine, charges that have a set fine, that's if you pay it. Because if you take it to court, they entirely have the opportunity to charge you more or less. It's up to them. But set fines are only if you're paying it. Everything else changes once you go to court. They could go up, they could go down. All right. What is this? Okay. Spiritually Tarot asks, if I'm going across the crosswalk and someone goes through and is close enough for me to hit the window and break it, can I? No, because if you hit the car and break it, we're probably going to have you arrested for mischief. It's not allowed. Listen, are you allowed to avoid being hit? Let me ask you this. If they're crossing in front of you, they've broken the rules. They failed to yield for a pedestrian in a crosswalk. It's against the law. At no point are you allowed to hit or hurt somebody else just to send a message. It's wrong. I'd be more inclined to take a picture of their license plate and make a complaint through our website, which is www.tps.ca, where you can complain about vehicles like that. This is where body cameras are awesome. Not suggesting dash cameras. I say everyone should have them. Maybe everyone should have a body cam too to catch people who do this. It's not okay, and I'm not excusing it, but you can't beat up cars and break windows. You will end up getting in trouble, and you might escalate the situation. You smash someone's window if they're already a horrible person because they're willing to cut off a pedestrian. What are they willing to do if you smack their car and break their window? That might be a situation where you get very seriously injured and or assaulted, and you're better off if you didn't get hit to make the complaint after the fact. Okay. What is this? Oh, this is a very good statement and very, very accurate. People don't have a general idea as to how much time it takes big rigs to stop. I have a podcast episode that is talking to the Private Truck Council of Canada, Mike Millian, who's the boss man there, and we talk about this. Big vehicles take a lot longer. Not only big rigs, but large vehicles. It's more weight to stop. So absolutely, people have no concept. They also don't understand how little they can see around them. Like there's call it a 20-foot gap around that they just don't have visibility. And big SUVs have a similar situation, not 20 feet, but they can't see what's directly in front of them. Now, a big rig, you can hide a small car in front of it, quite literally. If you remember back, and if you can go Google a Mini, can we find it by Google or YouTube? There was a Mini that cut off a big rig. They caused the collision. They cut off the big rig. But that big rig drove, pushing that car sideways all the way up the ramp and across the highway. There was video everywhere. Check it out on YouTube. If I find it, I'll post it on my Twitter. But they don't get it. You know, as a cyclist or a pedestrian, if you walk out in front of a truck at a stop, assuming they can see you, they can't see you. They just can't. And that we see a lot of people get killed because of that. Okay, Crystal, hey, how you doing? Crystal, long time no talk. Crystal says, where I live on a street where there's a school and you don't see cops or what is this? And you don't see cops or parking enforcement near me, but a lot of people go right through the stop sign. Could we take a picture of the license plate and notify police? I don't know what your police, because I know you don't live in Toronto. We would take a community complaint. So we have a website, a form that you can go and complete and say that in my neighborhood at this date and time, or, you know, generally speaking, you know, during school hours, whatever you put in the report, we have people running the stop sign. We would then be able to take that report and assign police officers to do targeted enforcement in that area. You need to talk to your local police to see if they do the same thing. But it's absolutely a problem. And, you know, I used to do a lot of stop sign enforcement. It's aggressive driving. And I've watched people who pass another car that is stopping. Like they're so ignorant and they're in such a rush and they're so entitled that they choose to pass a car that is slowing down and stopping for a stop sign as they're legally required to, and they go into oncoming traffic and pass them. Those people should have their licenses taken away and banned from being in the front seat of a vehicle for the rest of their lives. There's no reason someone who's willing to put lives at risk. That beyond upsets me, because I've gone to fatalities where people were just doing their thing, being safe, and somebody in a car decided that they were important or were completely out to lunch. One or the other side. What do we see here? If I'm at a red, what is this? If I'm at a red light, Tuna wants to know, if I'm at a red light and cannot move as there are cars around me and an ambulance comes and honks at me, well, chances are that's not going to happen. We get this what if all the time. I'll tell you right now, if there's cars all around you, you can't do anything. Your obligation under the Highway Traffic Act in Ontario is to pull over to the nearest curb or edge of roadway and stop. That's it. There's no, mount curbs and drive off road. There's no, go into oncoming traffic or run red light. You cannot do anything. Pull over nearest edge of curb, edge of curb or roadway. That's it. Curb or edge of roadway. And that's it. We don't expect anything from you beyond that. When the light changes, there will become room, we will go. Ambulance, police, or fire, doesn't matter. If you can legally make a right turn at a red light, that's the way you do it. You come to a stop, you make sure it's safe, you make a red light. But if I'm a police officer going to a call, and I can't speculate for anybody else, but I'm going to go into oncoming traffic. I'm going to be planning ahead because that's what I'm trained to do. I'm going to go into oncoming traffic and avoid all the traffic at the intersection. And if I get a call when I'm right behind you and I'm 3 cars deep at a light, I'm not going to ask 12 cars to get out of my way and put themselves in danger. And if they do listen to me, I put them in a situation, I'm creating a liability for the service. I'm not helping anybody. I'm going to cause a collision that's going to get more people hurt. So not the right answer. Good morning. Who sets the fine for parking tickets? Paul from Toronto wants to know. That's going to be the city. It's a bylaw. They set the fines. I don't know anything about parking stuff. That's Aaron Urquhart, guru of parking situation. You can follow them on Twitter or Instagram. You've got Parking TPS and TPS_Bikeheart for Aaron Urquhart's account. And she's got all the information. She's currently on vacation, so she's not ignoring you if she doesn't answer because she's not in the country. She is elsewhere, having fun in the sun. I'm not jealous at all. Okay. What is this? Kodiak says, grew up with a dad as a cop. Thanks for all you do, especially in today's day and age. Well, Kodiak, thank you very much. I am a dad cop, and I'm privileged to be a police officer and work in serving the people in the community, even though I'm not doing it the way I used to do it. I used to be a motor squad officer. I used to be on the road, and I used to love it. And now I'm doing it behind a screen or behind a camera. So, or in front of a camera. Technically, I'm in front of the camera, but I am nevertheless thankful that I get to serve the community and help with the education of folks. And that's what we're here about, just helping people helping people. But thank you, and thank you for your dad's service. Okay. Hey, it's 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes. One thing I want to do before the 5 minutes is up is prime the. Here we go. So many things to do. So many things to do. What am I looking for here? Pictures. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Okay. Opening up a file just so I'm ready. No, I don't want to play that right now. I'm not ready to play it. Just wanted to make sure it was there. That was a teaser. We're going to play the traffic song. It's something we do. All right. I did not mean to. Oh, Tinto Tozy says, thanks. Have a great weekend, Tio. Tinto Tozy is from Montreal, but comes to the show all the time through Facebook. You can see the Facebook logo there. Isn't it amazing when you come in through other platforms? Some of those platforms actually get to work seamlessly with our restream. It's awesome. And thank you, just a shout out to CJ at Embarrasser. Thank you for helping to make sure that we can see all the questions from those who aren't coming through on the other platforms. All right, here is one of those questions. This is all the work's being done by our producer. DA says, turning left, light turns yellow. I go and oncoming runs the light. We hit. Who number? I think you mean like who's at fault. Here's the deal. So you're turning left and they're running a light. As a police officer in that situation, you are required turning left to make sure you can complete that turn in safety. You have to ensure it can be done in safety, which means you can be charged for turning left and be responsible for an element of the collision. You can be charged for it, whether it be careless or turn not in safety. That's a charge that I would lay for you. The charge for the vehicle that ran the light, they ran a light. They are responsible for running the light. I would charge them too. You can't just say, I know, and this is funny. This is so perfect. Pedestrians upset with the video I put out, or some people are upset that I blamed pedestrians for the pedestrian problem. I framed it as a pedestrian problem. It's not a pedestrian problem in the way you think. It's a problem that pedestrians are getting hit. And I used a hook to get people to watch the video. It was very effective. And I'll do it again. But there's a belief that I was suggesting that pedestrians are responsible for what happens when they get hit. They're not responsible in every situation. Sometimes they are. Listen, people make bad choices all the time, whether they're on in a car, a bicycle, or on foot, walking, rolling, however they do it. The issue is that you cannot assume that a car is going to do the right thing, because just like in your scenario, cars don't always do the right thing. Drivers could be out to lunch on their phones, intentionally deciding to not stop for a light, whatever the case is, until that vehicle actually stops moving. And I'll go one further. Until you can see the eyes of the person driving and you can confirm that they're paying attention, they see you. I make eye contact. That's the best way to go. You make eye contact. And I'll tell you one that's going to make you upset. Even if you make eye contact and that first car is stopped, the car behind it could still come in and hit them. You're still at risk. Now, that's talking about pedestrians. There's always risk. So be as careful as you can, because you can't buy enough lottery tickets when you're trying to win the lottery. And doing anything you do to be safer, using caution, is a great way to go. So turning left, and the person runs the light, and both people could be held responsible. And then it's going to be up to the insurance companies to determine fault when they subrogate, in the back end. Because in Ontario, your insurance is paying for your car and their insurance is paying for their car. And then they duke it out behind the scenes to see who's paying back end. But you're going to be covered anyway as an insured party. All right. Ooh, I used like 4 minutes on that rant. What do we have here? We talked about that. Oh. Melissa Moore says, do you lose points when you get a fail to stop ticket? Fail to stop for police, or fail to stop at a collision, like fail to remain, because there's different things there. Fail to remain, if I'm not mistaken, is like 6 demerit points. That's if you're involved in the collision and you take off. Let's find out, because I can't remember offhand, but fail to remain, no set fine. It's 7 demerit points, and it's no set fine. So let's go back directly to court. What are the consequences? It is a fine of not less than $400 and not more than $2,000, and up to 6 months in jail for failing to remain at a collision. And that's not even getting into fail to remain or collisions that involve death and whatnot, just failing to remain. Now, when we talk about fail to stop police, you get into what's here, stop police. I want to find, because you can get into criminality there, and if it's criminal charges being laid, you're not talking about points, but you're talking about criminality. It's a whole different situation. And why do I think that there's also a charge under the HTA for that? There's two different ways to go. In any case, don't run from the police, and always stop at collisions when you're involved in them. What is that? How long can I park my car on a side road if there's no signs about parking times? In the city of Toronto, I believe it's a 3 hour. Let's see here. Oh, is it stop sign? Was it failed to stop for stop sign? That's what they were talking about? I went totally off on a tangent. That's not what they were asking. All right. Stop sign. I believe it's 3 demerit points for disobey stop sign. It's not fail to stop. It's called disobey. And I want to confirm now because now I'm all discombobulated. Yeah, 3 points. $110. Okay. That's funny. How long? And we already said 3 hours is the parking maximum. And there's extensions, like if you had an accessible permit, you get longer. If you have obviously if you're paying for your parking, it's different. But 3 hours is if there's no other signs. Can you pass a school bus? What is this? Can you pass a school bus if it drives on one solid yellow line? Witnessed it and was curious. Can you pass a school bus if it drives on a solid yellow line? Do you mean can you pass on a solid yellow line a school bus when it's driving? Well, first of all, you're not allowed to speed ever. So if they're doing the speed limit, you can't pass them. Is there a charge for crossing a yellow line? Not in Ontario. But if you cause a collision while you're doing it, you're entirely responsible. Solid yellow lines indicate that it's A, oncoming traffic on the other side of it, and B, that you probably shouldn't be crossing there because it's unsafe. So if you decide to, well, not listen to them and you cause a collision, you're entirely responsible. And you're putting children at risk, so it's just not good. There should be a special place for people when they put children at risk, but that's a separate situation. Okay, so if you've seen it happen, it shouldn't be done, but people do it anyway. And we have. I still haven't had the definition or explanation or phonetic on your name. Is it Lisa, Liza, or Lisa? No, Lisa, Liza. I guess that's the only options. I had a third option that was the same thing. Say hi to Sergeant Campbell. I missed him being on today, and you and the dad jokes. Speaking of dad jokes, we talked about yesterday. And I think I read this one yesterday. Yesterday it was a clown held the door open for me. I thought it was a nice gesture. But today's joke is, Dad, do you like the game Battleship? Dad answers, well, it's pretty hit or miss. Yep, it's a joke. Wasn't a great one. That's it for me. I'm gone. I got to go get ready for an interview that's happening in about 15 minutes with Breakfast Television. And I hope you have a great weekend. If you're going to drive, drive sober. Park legally. That's for Aaron. But drive sober. No drugs, no alcohol. We want to make sure everyone gets home safely each and every day. So, yeah, just be careful out there. And I say be careful out there, and I send that message to everybody because it doesn't matter if you walk, ride, or drive. If you're out there in a shared community space, being the streets, you're at risk, and you need to take some level of responsibility for getting where you have to go. Now, if you're going to go out and enjoy, because there's lots of things to do this weekend, if you're going to party responsibly, and make sure you have an alternate ride home. Don't get behind the wheel of a car. Now, what else can I tell you about? Auto show's on. That's awesome. I had a little sneak peek yesterday. It looked really cool. I want to go back. I will. If I do go back, I'll be announcing it online. Trafficcop.ca for any of our socials, and as well as some really useful links. Want to buy a car, want to make sure that it's not stolen? Yeah, we have a number checking a link there. If you want to loan your car to your friend, make sure that their license is valid. We got a link for that, because if you loan your vehicle to someone who's unlicensed, like suspended, you can be charged. So that's not good. Lots of good stuff. Check out the link. It's trafficcop.ca. Again, have a great weekend. And before I say goodbye, I'm going to play a song. Sorry, I saw a couple of things. Landon, my apologies. We're done for now. But they wanted to know about driving a car without a front bumper. It is required. So why am I apologizing? I just answered the question. Yeah, the deal is that you have to have a front bumper. It's a safety requirement. Okay, the traffic song, and we're out. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get freed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps